What if I told you there are cities in America right now that are redefining what it means to be radically progressive, where police departments have been dismantled, universal basic income is being tested, and billionaires are taxed to fund public housing? These aren't hypotheticals. They're happening, and they're happening in real cities across the U.S. right now. In this video, we're diving into the most fiercely left-wing cities in America in 2025, and trust me, some of them might surprise you. But before we start, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're pulling back the curtain and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's dive in. San Francisco remains the quintessential progressive stronghold in America in 2025. With over 85% of voters backing Democratic candidates in the 2024 presidential election, it's a city where left-wing ideals are deeply embedded in governance and daily life. Over 55% of registered voters identify as Democrats, and fewer than 9% are Republicans, making it one of the most lopsided political landscapes in the country. San Francisco leads on issues like climate action, banning natural gas in new buildings, mandating zero-emission public transit, and investing billions in green infrastructure. It's also at the forefront of housing justice, with rent control laws, strong tenant protections, and a growing push for social housing. As a sanctuary city, it resists federal immigration enforcement and funds legal aid for undocumented residents. From progressive taxation to universal healthcare pilot programs, San Francisco represents the bleeding edge of American liberalism, and proudly so. Seattle has firmly entrenched itself as one of the most left-wing cities in the country. In 2024, over 83% of Seattle voters chose progressive candidates, and the city council remains dominated by Democratic Socialists and Progressive Democrats. The city's political makeup is reflected in its aggressive climate goals, like being carbon neutral by 2030, and its strong support for labor rights, including a $19.97 minimum wage, the highest of any major U.S. city. Seattle also became one of the first cities to fund a city-run public health option and expand its progressive tax model with a local capital gains tax. The city is a hub for union activism, LGBTQ+ rights, and tech sector regulation, often pushing for stricter worker protections against major employers like Amazon. With a city budget that heavily invests in affordable housing, mental health services, and police alternatives like the Care Team, Seattle continues to embody the progressive idealism of the Pacific Northwest. Portland, long known for its activist spirit, is more politically left-wing than ever in 2025. Around 80% of the city voted for left-leaning candidates in 2024, and the city council is composed almost entirely of progressives, including 2 openly Democratic Socialist members. Portland was one of the first cities to implement participatory budgeting, allowing residents to directly decide how to allocate millions in public funds. The city's radical approach to policing reform has included shrinking the police budget by over 15% since 2020 and expanding community-led safety programs. Portland also leads in environmental justice, with aggressive urban reforestation plans and plastic bans. The city legalized psychedelic-assisted therapy, making it a hub for progressive drug policy reform. With widespread rent control, tenant protections, and city-funded homelessness initiatives, Portland is unapologetically left-wing, driven by a culture that prizes grassroots democracy, sustainability, and anti-corporate resistance. As the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. is also one of its most left-leaning urban centers. In the 2024 election, more than 92% of voters supported Democratic candidates, giving it the highest percentage of any U.S. city. Beyond national politics, local D.C. governance reflects progressive values across the board. The city council includes openly socialist and Green Party-aligned members, and policies focus on racial justice, environmental equity, and public services. In 2025, D.C. passed universal pre-K for all residents and expanded rent control laws to include over 30,000 additional units. The city also introduced guaranteed income pilots targeting low-income mothers and formerly incarcerated individuals. With its push for statehood, D.C. has become a rallying symbol for progressive electoral reform. Add in fare-free public transit, a strong public healthcare system, and sanctuary protections for immigrants. And it's clear that the city isn't just politically blue, it's deep indigo. Quick pause. What do you think so far? Have you visited any of these cities? Do you agree with how we're ranking them? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Drop your opinions, debate, or even suggest cities you think we missed. And if there's a topic you'd like to see covered next, maybe the most conservative cities, or the wildest policy experiments happening right now, let me know below. While you're at it, go ahead and tap that like button and hit subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and tells me you want more videos just like this. Berkeley has been a leftist beacon since the free speech movement of the 1960s, and in 2025, it continues to set the bar for radical municipal governance. With nearly 88% of its electorate supporting progressive candidates in 2024, the city remains dominated by Democratic Socialists, Greens, and Progressive Democrats. The City Council has declared climate change a public emergency, outlawed natural gas in all construction, and mandated carbon neutrality by 2028. Berkeley also piloted one of the country's first publicly funded reparations programs for Black residents and invests heavily in racial justice initiatives. With one of the most robust tenant protection systems in California, it's nearly impossible for landlords to evict without cause, and rent hikes are tightly regulated. Berkeley also has a civilian-led police accountability board and has redirected funding from law enforcement to mental health crisis teams. Education, housing, and equity define Berkeley's persistent leftist identity. New York City might be massive and diverse, but it's overwhelmingly progressive at the ballot box. In 2024, over 82% of the city's voters supported left-leaning candidates. The City Council is home to a growing number of Democratic Socialists and Progressives who have helped steer policies toward income redistribution, universal childcare, and housing justice. NYC has expanded its ambitious rent stabilization programs and in 2025 passed the Right to Remain law, offering legal assistance and financial aid to tenants facing eviction. The city has also invested in a Green New Deal-style infrastructure plan that aims to retrofit public housing and expand solar energy by 2030. NYC recently made headlines for implementing a citywide minimum wage of $20 per hour and a guaranteed income pilot for undocumented workers. With deep union roots, vibrant protest culture, and immense public pressure from grassroots groups, New York continues to lead the charge toward urban progressivism. Minneapolis gained national attention in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd, and since then, the city has undergone a political transformation that's pushed it sharply left. In 2025, over 78% of Minneapolis voters supported progressive candidates, and the city council reflects a wide coalition of Democratic Socialists, Greens, and Progressives. Minneapolis became one of the first cities to replace its police department with the Department of Community Safety, which focuses on mental health crisis intervention and restorative justice practices. The city has expanded access to affordable housing, passed a $17.50 minimum wage, indexed to inflation, and created public broadband access as a utility. In education, the city now provides universal school meals and free public transit for students. Minneapolis's commitment to racial equity, police reform, and environmental justice keeps it at the forefront of progressive policy making in the Midwest, making it a model for post-reform urban governance. Cambridge, home to Harvard and MIT, may be small in size but punches far above its weight in leftist politics. In 2024, over 87% of voters supported progressive candidates, and the city council includes members of the Democratic Socialists of America and independents running on climate and housing platforms. Cambridge has pioneered public tech ownership, like municipally owned Wi-Fi, and is piloting a local digital currency for universal basic income distribution. The city also passed one of the strictest climate ordinances in the country, mandating net zero emissions from commercial buildings by 2030. Cambridge supports strong rent control, a city-run legal aid office for tenants, and a progressive property tax structure designed to disincentivize corporate landlords. It also offers free preschool, public college tuition assistance, and a city-funded reparations study committee. Though overshadowed by nearby Boston, Cambridge operates like a leftist lab of experimentation, consistently pushing the envelope on what progressive governance looks like in America. From West Coast sanctuaries to East Coast experiments, these 8 cities aren't just leaning left. They're rewriting the rules of what left-wing governance looks like in America. Whether you see them as visionary or controversial, one thing's clear: they're pushing the national conversation forward. Thanks for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into America's evolving political landscape. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay bold.